are at Lake William Hovell, the gateway to the Alpine National Park, and well, from the northern Wangaratta side anyway. There's some fishing in here. I've been a couple of times, normally during spring or summer, where it's all redfin and small fish like that. No camping on the banks or the shores of the lake at all, more so just because Wangaratta Council don't want to have bins up here and a garbage service to take campers' rubbish away, so they've just blanket banned camping altogether. So we're going to get up into the hills. The rain's eased for the time being. Hopefully I haven't had too much up there, otherwise the King River's going to be pretty high. But we'll get up there and have a look and see how far we can. As you get around the back of Lake William Hovell on the top crossing track, you get to a bit of a brick wall, or in this case a rock wall. I have seen some small four-wheel drive, all-time four-wheel drives like your RAV4s get up there, but you really need to pick a good line, and when it's this wet, it makes for some fun. A lot of rain fallen over the last couple of nights. The trick with big puddles like this, when you know the road surface is firm, go slow. Slowly into them, and on the power out. When the water in them is this dirty, you don't want to be hitting with speed, because they could be 2 foot deep and you'll lose your front end. As you come around the back of William Hovell, the tar ends and you get on the dirt, which, when it's like this, is just red, greasy clay, and you got to cross that twice, the King River. They had about 20 mil rain overnight, so she's flowing pretty fast, and makes those 2 creek crossings you got to navigate on the way up just that little bit deeper. Classic rookie mistake here. Jack didn't check the water level before he drove through. And as you can see, 3/4 of the way across, his patrol gets hooked up on a larger rock under the water. It's only lucky that the vehicle gets pushed downstream a little bit and finds some grip and comes off the rock. Otherwise he could be in a world of trouble. After a couple of creek crossings, climbing up, then down, then back up the mountain, we finally come down again to the top crossing hut for barbecue lunch. And luckily we had the place to ourselves. about to cook some sausages, and again, like some of the other videos, the flies are pretty bad down here, so if you don't like the look or the sight of flies crawling all over food or just swarming, you may not want to watch, because yeah, they're everywhere. So here we got something new. I've always had this little guy for doing hot water and that, mainly in winter and that, because as you all know, the little butane cookers in winter, the cans freeze up and they're hopeless. So I got this little jet stove, and this can of butanes lasts me a good couple of months too. So we're testing it out. But little square frying pan on it, I can probably fit 5 or 6 sausages in there, and it's just something easy. If you want to stop on the side of the road, whip it out, cook your snags, have a bit of a feed, and keep on travelling. So we'll cook some snags up here and see how the little guy goes. Now I'm just going to back the heat off a little bit here because I've got it on a bit strong. Good thing with a heating element this small is you can control the heat a lot. The best thing, the easiest thing with cooking snags is just don't put too much heat in them too quick, especially if they're a bit thick. There's nothing worse than having burnt snags and having insides raw. Even though there's no meat in them, especially the supermarket ones, it's all sawdust, but still, you want to enjoy what you're eating. One of the easiest things you can do when you're camping is cooking sausages, and with a little setup like this it takes next to nothing, quick and easy to set up. And I've got this little skillet here that comes from, I think it's from the reject shop, cost about $5 or $6. I'll try and find one that hasn't got the ribs inside it, but it takes up little space, easy to clean, and I can probably fit another 2 sausages in there if I wanted to. Starting to smell good, getting hungry. There you go, they're done, and the little cooker worked pretty well. There's no real heat on top, which I was worried about because it's sort of bigger pan than what it's probably normal to have on it. I thought it'd just direct all that heat down, but it's worked pretty well. Again, it's probably not made to have such a large. Well, it's not really that large, so that's me sort of hand. As long as the sausage, really big sausage, so it's worked pretty well, and it's definitely a lot easier than carrying some of those big Primus or dual ring burners and that sort of stuff out and about. Not worrying about gas bottles, you're not worrying about the butane cans freezing up on you during the winter months. This time of year it's not that bad, they won't freeze up. Yeah, no, I'm real happy with this, and I might have to get a couple of spares, and I'll definitely have to get some more cartridges, even though this one's probably, well, it wasn't full when I got it off Dave, so I get about $8, and it's definitely lasted more. I've done more with this than what I have with regular butane cans, so it's pretty good. I'll have to get some more, and we'll see how it goes down the track.
While the barbie was cooking, we explored the area and found that campers from the previous night had left the fire going in the hut fireplace. It must have been a wild night for him to sleep inside, because he only supposed to do it in case of emergency. It was good to get out of the vehicles for an hour, stretch our legs and have a feed. But, of course, the rain wasn't staying away. And as we packed up camp, it started to move back in. way in and then out to the top crossing hut. So we headed all the way back, nearly to the end of William Hobble, before turning and heading up into the hills. Once we come out of the forest, it was back on the tar for a short stretch, back to Whitfield, and then around Paradise Falls. What do you know? There's a rarity you have Paradise Falls to yourself. While I find a car park, let's go and visit the kitchen.
After the break, we'll make a kilometre-long trek down into the gorge to the falls. Welcome back to the Budget Adventure Show kitchen. Today I'm going to make a simple little dressing for you, and for all these million flies buzzing around, best thing to do in a situation like this is keep your mouth closed. I can't do that unless you can read interpretive mime, but simple little dressing for your salads, that sort of stuff. I've got all the ingredients here. I make this stuff at home, so that way I'm only bringing in a little Coke bottle or a little pump bottle or something, so the fridge isn't taken up with 14 ingredients for something that you only need one bottle for. First up, shaker. Need a little shaker bottle or something to mix it all together. Once you've mixed it, you can tip it into your bottle or everything else, but you do need something with a nice big opening to be able to drain or pour the ingredients in. Next up, just some white vinegar, Coles brand, budget brand, red label, gold label. Doesn't matter what vinegar it is, just as long as it's white vinegar. I'm sure you might be able to use brown vinegar as well. This is an old school recipe. I'm sure there's a lot of different ways. Let me know in the comments what different things you add to it. Just because I'm sure there's a mountain of different things you can do to make this your own way. Hot English mustard. Now this stuff is potent stuff, especially since I go for the hot and not the medium. If you're not careful with it, your nose hairs will run for the hills because they're getting burnt off and your sinuses are dying. So use as much or as little as you want. You do want a little bit for a little bit of a bite, but again, personal taste when you're making it. Whole grain mustard. I haven't used this before. This is a trial now, just because adding the seeds in there for a little bit of texture, a little bit of crunch. If it doesn't work, we'll find out in a minute. If it's shit, don't add it. So just be mindful, this isn't a requirement, it's just something I'm going to trial for the video. And lastly, some sweetened condensed milk. You want the 395 gram can, that way you can use the whole lot and then use the can again to measure in your vinegar and your mustard. Don't go to sweet, the low fat, low salt, low sugar, whatever different varieties they got out there. Just your standard sweetened condensed milk adds the best flavour. You add it to a salad, you're already eating healthy. Indulge a little bit in the dressing. Don't worry about being completely healthy. Not out here anyway, not when you're drinking beer. Yep, that's good. So we'll start getting some of these ingredients together. Rightio, let's make some salad dressing. So, got my shaker. First thing you want to do while you're getting your ingredients and that ready, open your sweet condensed milk. Oh, just like that. Oh, that's creamy gold right there. Beautiful stuff. Lid on the ground there for the moment. No shit in there. Alright, upside down. Now you just want to tip it in there and let it drain for as long as you can, just to get all the gooey goodness out of there. That was a very bad way to describe it. So this is your main thickening agent for it, for the dressing. We might get some black flies in there as texture as well. Once you got that in there, use this as a bit of a mixing container. So first off, grab your hot English mustard. Now again, as I said before, be very liberal with it depending on how you like the heat. These are a little bit bigger than a teaspoon. That's probably a good tablespoon in, and probably, oh, what's that? Probably nearly the same again. So you're not here, you haven't got the smell of vision, but I can assure you my nose is already starting to twist up. So that's that. That there out of the way. As I said before, hot English mustard. Problem I got here is I want to try this before I put it in. So this might hurt. I can still breathe. Just so, might do a full tablespoon by a teaspoon of that, just to add a bit of stuff to it. Just be mindful if you are going to put in a pump bottle or something that's got one of them little lids on it to squirt and hold it in, seeds might get stuck in there, so just be mindful of that. Next up, your vinegar. Now, how much vinegar you add to it is all depend on how thick or thin you want it. Normally, if you do the full tin, it's probably a little bit runnier than custard. Yeah, a bit runnier than custard. So if you like a bit more of a mayonnaise, I'd probably only go half a tin. If you like it real runny, like a salad dressing, I'd probably go to tin and then maybe a half more. Just keeping in mind that full tin there with vinegar is going to fill that shaker up. So that that tin's taken up to nearly 300 mils. So with this, it's going to be 600 mils. So just be mindful, you're going to need a container that big. But vinegar in. Pour. Now I'm only going to go about 2/3 up, just so I've got room to stir, because you've got to get that got to get that mustard to dissolve quite a bit. Otherwise, you're going to have a big lump in it, and I swear when that comes out and goes onto your plate, you're going to know about it. So while I'm stirring that, I may as well lubricate the larynx a little bit. Rightio, so that's nearly there. Just checking, make sure there's no lumps. Especially with the hot English mustard, you're not going to get it all off the spoon. That's why I just love carrying a pack of disposable plastic spoons. Use them once you've done. Get off there. Straight into the bin. No dishes. So that's going to go in there. Look. Now choose a little bit more vinegar too. More so just to get the last goodness out of that tin. Last little bit of goodness, a little bit of flavour. So that's that. Get the lid. Put the lid in the tin so it doesn't cut a hole in the side of the garbage bag. Alright. Lid back on that before I spill it. And now comes, hopefully, the most active part of your day while you're out and about. You haven't got bogged, you haven't need to run winches, you haven't had a flat tyre and had to jack up, make sure that's closed, because if it's not, it's going to make a mess. And I've seen it happen before, and it does lead to issues. Now you want a good shake. Warm day like this, it's not going to take too long because the sweet condensed milk's warm. If middle of winter, if you're cooking salads in winter, again, this is more summer stuff, so middle of winter you're probably going to have snags and stuff like that because you're not going to be worried about fire restrictions. Pretty much just want to make sure it's all mixed. Again, it doesn't take a lot. Test. Yeah, that's got a bit of a kick to it. Again, add what you feel comfortable with. Don't go adding as much as I did, unless you're more than happy. But here we got a couple of nice chicken and salad rolls, cooked roast up last night, and brought some of the pulled apart chicken with me on this trip. So we'll add a little bit here. If you do go a little bit hot, you might be able to add a bit more vinegar to it. It's going to come out. So this is a bit thicker than what I normally would. Oh, gloop gloop. Again, if it is a bit hot, portion control's the key. Lick the drip so it doesn't end up in your fridge. And that is my my little mustard dressing recipe. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of different ways to do it out there. It's a old classic recipe. Let me know in the comments below how you do it. Anything you add, anything you don't add. Mustard seeds seem to have worked. So if you want that little bit of a pop from the mustard seeds and that, add them too. If not, leave them in the pantry. But this has been the Budget Adventure Show Kitchen. Until next time, I've been Brad, and we'll see you later.
Windy old goat track getting down to the falls. There's some fantastic views, and it's about to get really wet. Here's another one of these rocky sections. There's some good natural steps here. So be careful of the slippery moss and days like this where it's really, really wet. Although it's 500 metres down the path into the falls, they say about 30 minutes. It doesn't seem to take that long at all. I suppose downhill, or coming in, you're walking downhill all the time, but it doesn't take long before you can start to hear the roar of the falls. They are through there.
So that was Paradise Falls. Here you go, you got a board up the top of the hill here where the parking area is with all the information for the falls, how they were started and all that sort of stuff. So if you're ever in the King Valley, I'm probably about 45 minutes off the Hume from Wangaratta. Doesn't matter if it's raining, as you've seen, there's still plenty of people come up and visit the falls, so pick your time, doesn't really matter, there's probably going to be people up here, unless maybe it's a weekday. But yeah, that walkout's definitely a lot longer than the walk in, especially coming up all those steel steps, or stone steps.
That was the Upper King Valley and Paradise Falls. Such a beautiful part of the country. If you're ever in the area, call in and check them out. But until next time, I'll see you out exploring this wonderful country of ours.